Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today I had this idea. What is the perfect Tesla family? If you're a two-car family, which Teslas make the most sense for you to own? Is it the X and the 3 or the S and the Y? Well, if you look what I got here, if this is any indication, we got the S over here, the Y over there, and I'm going to tell you why I believe this is the perfect two-car Tesla family for you. So let's start with the Model Y. You see, the Model Y was the car that I so wanted when I had my 3, because to me it was going to be 10% bigger in every dimension. And you know what? Tesla delivered on this. And what it is the 3 and the Y, they are sort of like the best of all the technology. Up until recently, they've been the best technology that Tesla has been able to bring out. It had the faster charging battery. It had a lower price point, which is not a bad thing. This is a vehicle that really had all the bells and whistles as far as being able to walk up to the car and have the car open with your cell phone as opposed to having to use a key fob. And it was sort of a strange time for Tesla, because the 3 and the Ys arguably were better than the S's and the X's. Now, some might argue maybe the perfect two-car family as opposed to the Y is the X, and I beg to differ with that. I've had an X in the past, and while it's a great car, I mean, sport utility, I guess you can call it, that windshield is to die for. I love the windshield. That's the best part about it. But the doors in the rear, they just don't do it for me. It's a great vehicle, but that competes more with the S than it does in the class of vehicle in terms of the price. So to me, if you've got the S as the sedan and the Y as the SUV, now you're talking about the better combination. Now, the problem with the S up until right around June of 2021 was it was older technology. And for those of you who watch the channel, you'll know that I actually had purchased a 100D. It was a 2018, and I thought it would be a great road tripper for a couple of reasons. More range, number one, and number two, faster charging. And I was actually sadly disappointed because the Model S really was lacking a lot of the things that I was used to from the Model Ys and the Model 3s. But what happened was in June of 2021, Tesla came out and did a refresh. They call it the refresh. And there were so many different things. Everyone was like all bent out of shape about the Plaid, right? 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds or some crazy number like that. To me, that wasn't really anything I would ever want. You know, this car right here is the Tesla Model S Refresh 2021, which does 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, 3.2 seconds, something like that. But what it is it's got the better chemistry in the battery pack that matches the technology that's in both the Y and the 3. And it also has a 405-mile EPA-rated range. So while this has a 320-mile EPA-rated range, which we all know Tesla, they sort of are very liberal, not too conservative with their estimates, but they do have good range and they are magically efficient. But this car really had an incredible makeover. A lot of different things. For example, you used to not be able to walk up to the car with your cell phone and open the car. That was kind of crazy. I was used to that with the Model 3s and the Model Ys. One pedal driving in 100D. You weren't able to do that with the Model S. The phone key card that you get with the Model 3 and the Model Y, you didn't get that with the older Model S. Now you do. There's a new horizontal screen in the Model S. Now this is kind of crazy, but I'm 6'5", and one of the things that would happen in my right knee would actually hit the vertical screen in the Model S, and therefore it didn't really work for me. But now that there's a new horizontal screen in this Model S, it really works out great. There's a multi-device Bluetooth on this car now, and they also upgraded from USB-A to USB-C, 36 watt as well. They changed the steering wheel from a round steering wheel to a yoke, which I think is silly. I mean, I like it, I've gotten used to it, but honestly, in a panic situation, I'm not sure it's really necessarily going to be the safest thing. But I do, around town it's fine. I just wonder what would happen if I were trying to grab for something in an emergency situation. Would I do the right thing? I don't know. If I had a choice between a round steering wheel and a yoke in the Model S, I definitely would have gone with the round steering wheel. There's been some minor exterior changes, notably down here. It looks a little bit more aggressive, but nothing crazy. The rear seats, they recline a little bit more. I shouldn't say recline, but the angle of the rear seats in the Model S when they did the rear refresh was a little bit better, a little more laid back, if you will. And also the rear seats, when you fold them down in the new refresh Model S, they fold down a little bit more flat. There's 76 cubic feet of space with the rear seats folded down here in the Model Y versus 61.4 cubic feet. But you really get that sort of volume in the Model Y, because the Model Y is quite a bit taller in terms of its stance. So the dimensions of these vehicles, the wheelbase on the Model S is 116.5 inches, whereas 113.8 on the Model Y. The overall length, this is 197.7, the Model S, versus 187 inches on the Model Y. The width, this car is 78.2 inches wide versus 75.6. But the height, this is really where the difference is. This car is almost 64 inches tall versus about 56 inches tall. So that's where you get the extra room in terms of the volume in the cargo. But in the Model S, because it's a hatchback, similar to the Y, when you fold those rear seats down, you have a tremendous amount of surface area in the vehicle, which makes it a great, if you will, when you got to go to Costco and you got to pick up a lot of different things. Some of the other things that this car now has, the Model S, in the refresh is it's got this new Airwave climate control system, which is graphically you can kind of show where you want the air to go through. Do you want it to go high? Do you want it to go low? It's pretty good. I would say that it is a quieter system than what's in the Y, having lived with the Y for the last day as a Hertz rental. And it's definitely an interesting system. I would say that again, solving a problem that I didn't think exists. It looks like an elegant design because you don't see any conventional vents that are out there or anything like that. But there's also a second row entertainment system in the Model S. So really, if you have some kids or maybe some adults that are kids in the back seat that are on a road trip and they want to watch a Netflix movie or they want to play video games in the back, they can do that. To me, this is the ultimate road tripping machine, this Model S. It's got the best combination of fast charging speed, a large battery pack that will allow you to get at least, figure 350 miles of range on a big road trip. And both these cars, one of the things that's great about the Teslas is that you can now take advantage of both the Tesla network, the Supercharger network, as well as the CCS network, as long as you buy for $250 the CCS Combo 1 charging adapter. What that will do is it will allow you to go to any high speed or Electrify America or EVgo or ChargePoint CCS station. And so, I'm planning a trip in this car down to Florida at the end of this month, and I know there's going to be a lot of traffic. I'm driving down on Christmas Eve. I'm going to be driving back on New Year's Day, and it's going to be ugly, all right? There's going to be a lot of cars on the road. So I've got the best of both worlds. I'll be able to, figure out who's sitting at which station, and maybe I'll charge at Tesla, maybe I'll charge at EA, maybe I'll find something that's even a little bit more interesting or spicy to actually have as an option. So, look, I think that when Tesla came out with the refresh Model S, it really caught my interest because This car is a mature car. This is it's a cruiser. It doesn't have the luxury amenities, in my opinion, of sort of the German brands. Well, let's face it, who does it better than Mercedes or BMW or Audi? I would argue that even Rivian and Lucid have much nicer interiors in them than these. Both these cars are rather clinical, but the thing about this Model S is that you have the screen in front of the yoke in addition to the center screen that's now horizontal. Whereas in the Model Y, it's very minimalistic. Now it's interesting, over the last day, we've been driving the Model Y versus the GV60. It's a stark difference in terms of simple, less, the concept of less being more. There are just no buttons in this car at all. Everything is on the screen. Similar with the Model S as well. But it's having that extra screen in front of the yoke, to me, makes it just feel a little bit more conventional than perhaps a Model 3 or a Model Y. Some of the things that are notably missing from both of these cars are, there's no heads-up display on either one of these cars. If you've ever had it, it's a great thing to have from a safety feature. There's also no blind spot assist on this car, on either one of these cars, so that if you're putting your turn signal on, you'll get a little graphic that'll pop up showing you a video, which is nice, but it doesn't show you if there's a car in your blind spot on the mirror itself. So where your eyes normally go is not where the information is. The information is either on the center screen, or the center screen in the Y, or in the screen right in front of the yoke in the S. But to me, it's lacking there. The other thing that it doesn't have is cross-traffic alert. Whether it's in the front or the rear of the car, you don't have any cross-traffic alert, which is basic. I mean, even a Hyundai Tucson has that today. And then finally, when I road trip, I really like to use Waze. And neither one of these cars has Apple CarPlay. While some of those things are missing, both these cars have decent-sized front trunks, which are quite good for extra storage space when you're on the road. You can equip a Model Y from the factory with a tow hitch as well, so you can do a little bit of towing. Both cars have plug and charge, which means you can pull up to a Tesla Supercharger station. Perhaps the best feature of the Tesla car isn't the Tesla car, it's the Supercharger network. It's the peace of mind that you can just go anywhere, whenever you want. You don't have to worry about it. You just pull up on the map where you're going. It'll tell you exactly where to stop, how long to stop. Nobody does it better, in my opinion, than Tesla when it comes to navigating in conjunction and vertically integrating everything, so that when you arrive at a Tesla Supercharger and you plug in, it just works. I mean, like every single time, there's no anxiety at all. You pull in and it works. And Tesla's continuing to invest in the supercharger infrastructure day in and day out. There's just amazing how, I think yesterday I got a tweet that there were 16 new supercharger stations around the world, or 20 in the last 30 days or something like that. So look, when you're thinking about going electric, there's so many different brands you can choose. The easiest brand to choose is Tesla. I'm not saying it's the only brand. We have a Genesis GV60 in the family. I think we really like the build quality that's in some of these other cars that are coming out. Notably, the BMWs are really looking really good. The 7 Series, the i4, the iX, they're really looking good. It's really an exciting time to be thinking about buying an electric vehicle. But here's the thing. There are so many cars coming onto the market today that don't use the Tesla network. Only Tesla today can use the Tesla network. And we're all hoping that there's going to be an adapter that will allow a CCS car to be able to pull up to a Tesla Supercharger. And I don't know if we're all hoping that. I'm sure there are some Tesla people that don't want that to happen because they're fearful that it's going to crowd up the stations. My view is that there should be the cross-pollination, right? The Betamax and the VHS should be merged together so that we all have options. And listen, with the extra money that Tesla makes from allowing CCS cars to charge at their
at the Superchargers, I think they'll just continue to put it back into the infrastructure and build more Tesla Superchargers. But if you really want just an easy, no-brainer, I'm going to two-car family, this is it right here, folks. The Tesla Model S is your amazing super cruiser. It's the highway machine. It's got air suspension. It floats down the road. I personally like to have 19-inch wheels on it. Why? It gets a little better range. It's a little softer ride. I don't really need the 21s. Whatever, that's a preference. That's a personal choice. The Model Y, I think, is the perfect SUV complement in the Tesla model lineup. The 3s and the Ys, the one thing you have to understand is they're everywhere now. If you're looking to pull up and say, hey, look at me in my Tesla, right? You're gonna lose that with a 3 and a Y. With the S, you still kind of have it, but probably not like it was in the old days. They're just cars today. These are cars that work. They're consistent. The build quality may not be quite as good, a little bit, like I said earlier, clinical, but you can't go wrong with the Tesla Model S and the Model Y as your two-vehicle EV choice. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. I hope this gives you a little perspective, at least from my perspective, about a perfect two-car electric family. Now, having said that, we have the Model S and the GV60, so I don't know if it is the perfect one. But anyway, have a good day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care now.